I'm working with version 4 of MotiveWave, and I'm going to show you something that was introduced a few iterations ago in the development in one of the 3.5 versions, which is the study harmonic patterns. I've already done an intro video to this, but this is going to go into harmonic patterns more in depth, and I'm going to use this strange stock called Apple that's behaving very strangely, and it's the 14th of January 2015. So I'm going to use harmonic patterns. I'm going to show you the 4 different harmonic patterns and show you how they can be customized and how they can be useful. And to do that, I have prepared different templates. So down here at the bottom of your MotiveWave console, I'm in the console for people who are new to MotiveWave. And I'm going to click on this little icon right here, which pulls up all of my templates. And I've created 4 templates, one for harmonics for the primary study, one with the primary and the secondary, one with the primary, secondary, and tertiary, and one with the primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary studies all overlapped. And if you don't customize them, you're going to have a blur and you won't be able to read it. So you have to customize them. And I'll show you how to do that. So let's pull up first the study template, which is my harmonic pattern primary. If I double click on that, I'm going to get to the properties. And I don't typically change anything on this screen. I can look for a particular pattern, but I want to look for all of them. But in the display, I'm going to disable these regions, and you'll see why in a second, because I want to be able to see the 4 patterns and not have too much color and lines in my way. So I'm going to disable these, but I'm only going to show the regions. And so it's going to show me the butterfly type, butterfly winged regions. It's not going to show me the ranges that are possible for B and for C and for D. So when I find that my B point doesn't quite hit B, it's because I haven't enabled range 1 to show me what the range would be for a good B hit. I can come in and I can do that later if I'm looking at a particular pattern, but I don't want too much data on my screen right now. And for each of these, I'm going to customize with a color. Now my first one is yellow. If I wanted to pick a pink, I could pick a pink, or I can take any color, and then once I've chosen the color, go into more colors, and then move it down to at least 50%, maybe 40%, so that it becomes transparent, so that you can see through the pattern, because we're going to be laying 4 patterns on top of each other. So there's pattern number 1 for Apple. This little icon right here is the auto scale. I'm going to turn that off so that I can move my chart around. But it looks like on the daily Apple chart, looks like some good news, right? This shark pattern has a target of 13% above the distance between X and A, or a fib of 1.13. But what about this point here? Could this signal a change and that my shark pattern may be falling out of favor? Well, it's not going to break my shark pattern until I fall below this 105.15, but could there be something else in the process going on? Now, you have the possibility in MotiveWave to look at 4 different types of analyses. We're going to look at the second now, and because I've already got a customized second pattern with a different color saved as another template, I'm going to go into harmonics 2, and I'm going to overlay harmonic 1 with the secondary harmonic pattern, which I've colored in red. And this one has picked up this point here as a possible C. Now, no longer is it a bullish type of pattern, but it's actually a bearish pattern. It's no longer a shark, but it's now a Gartley. And I'm a little concerned about it. Now, is that a good C pattern? Let's double click on this secondary, and let's go into the display options, and let's go into range 1 and 2, and let's enable them and click apply. You can see that the possibilities for C, the perfect C pattern would have been right here. We overshot it a bit in this green zone, but we're still within an acceptable range between 0.382 of AB and 1.618 of BC for a C. So, it's an acceptable Gartley pattern. Let me turn those off so we'll have less to deal with. Now we've got patterns 1 and 2. This is concerning. Let's see if there are other patterns that it's able to recognize, and let me go into my third harmonic, which I'm using a Mac, so I can cycle through all of these just by going the Option key and 3. But I'm showing you how to use this little pop-up window here. So this sort of confirms on a bigger scale now a downward possibility on the 1 day for Apple by taking in more data, and we have a bigger overlapping Gartley pattern that has a point here which it shares in common with the second Gartley. So the two butterfly wings are the blue ones, and behind you can see the red butterfly wings, and they share a common point. This is X, A, point B of this larger pattern Gartley, and it would be X, A, B of the smaller one as well. And their C patterns are similar. So now we've got a bigger Gartley and a smaller Gartley using different X values, the same A, the same B. I know it says C, but that is from my original pattern. That's my B, and they're using the same C. But they're projecting different Ds, but the thing is, they're both down. Is there a fourth pattern I could look at? And now I'm going to go into my fourth harmonic study, which is going to add a fourth on. And now I'm using this X, A. My B is the same A as my primary. I've got some sharing between the yellow pattern and the blue pattern here, but this is also a downward pattern. So we have earnings coming up in 2 weeks on Apple. In order for it to break all of these three patterns, we're going to need to see a move above C and a move of B. So it's pretty important that in earnings, that the earnings drives us beyond this region, so it would get rid of all of the other patterns and would bring us back to the original X, A, B, C, D. Now if you want to cycle through these, let me get rid of these lines here on the side. If you want to cycle through these, take your fourth pattern, delete it. Take your third, delete it. Take your second, delete it. Now using the undo key, the second was the one we've deleted most recently, so we're going to undo that one. We can add the second. We can compare the second to the first just with the undo and the redo keys. Another undo brings up the third pattern, and again we can cycle. And then my final undo key brings up my fourth pattern. And using the undo and redo, we can cycle through them until we've derived the knowledge that we want to get from those patterns. So I'm not saying that Apple is going to go down. I'm saying that the harmonics say that it's got a 3 out of 4 chance of going down. The most recent one, the shortest time frame, is still bullish. On the longer time frames, we've got downward bias patterns. Earnings is coming up. So this point, 113.12, and this point, 114.57, are going to be essential so that we can then focus on something with a target of 121, which is where a lot of the analysts have pegged their targets for Apple between 120 and 130.